This is round 3 of my American lager rankings. And these are the big 4: Budweiser, Miller High Life, Coors, and Pabst Blue Ribbon. I'm not going to introduce these beers and give you stats verbally, just to save time, because I don't know how long this camera will last. I'm just going to get right to it. These beers have already been shuffled, so I don't know which is which. Now, Budweiser has not gone up against these 3 other beers. However, they have gone up against each other, but they were warm, so I'm going to let them go up against each other again. The bottom of the glasses are marked, so I don't know which one is which, but I can look at the bottom of the glass and see. So we'll start over here and see how this one goes up against these 3. Nice and cold is so much better. And this actually isn't bad tasting at all. It's sweet. It's got a little tang to it, just a little. I like it. This one, not quite as sweet, a little bit more bitter. This one's easier. A little bit watery in comparison. I think I like this one. So the first match goes to number 1 against number 2. Again, not as sweet as this one. Kind of a plain taste to it, a cardboardy taste of blandness. Whereas this one has a little bit of richness to it. This one is just, in comparison, a bit flavorless compared to number 1. Where number 1 has a bit of tang to it. Some sweetness. Not a lot on hops, but none of these are going to be very hoppy. I do believe I am preferring number 1 here to number 3. All right, now let's try number 4. Number 4 might be a bit better than these 2. It's really close to number 1. Very, very close, these 2. I'm not sure I can decide on this. But number 1 seems to be a bit more tangy, which I like. I'll go with number 1. Number 1 is undefeated. Now, 2 and 3. So number 2 has a finish that's not that pleasant. Number 3 has a bit more tang in the finish. I think I'm leaning towards number 2. Yeah, I'll give it number 2. Number 2 beats number 3. Okay, now let's try number 2 against number 4. Now, I said that number 4 was a lot like number 1, and number 1 walked through all 3 of these. But now I'm not sure. Now I'm thinking number 2 might be preferable to number 4. Yeah, I think so. I think I will go with number 2 over number 4. Last one. Number 3 hasn't been very good so far. And I am leaning that way between these two. Number 4 is preferable to number 3 so far. I think I will go with number 4. So number 3 is winless. Number 1 is lossless. Let's identify. Number 1 is Pabst. Pabst walks through all 3 of these. How about that? Number 2 is Budweiser. So number 2 wins 2. Basically, it lost only to Pabst. Number 3, I think, is the one that I like the least, and it is Coors. Which means that number 4 has to be Miller High Life. Or number 4 has to be Miller High Life. Did I say number 3 or number 4? Number 4 has to be Miller High Life. So, Miller High Life only beat Coors. Budweiser beat these 2, and Pabst beat all of them. Pabst. Generally, I was turned off by Pabst earlier because it was too sweet, and it is, I think, the sweetest out of all these. But it has a better flavor than all these. So, as I said in other Pabst reviews, that Pabst could use some more bitterness from hops, I would stand by that and say that, yeah, I could stand to use some more bitterness, but it needs to maintain that upfront sweetness that it has. So if it goes in sweet like it does and then has a bit of a bitter follow-up, some hoppiness to it, then it would be so much better. But the rest of these simply didn't have the flavor that Pabst has. It was, the maltiness, the sweetness that gives it a certain flavor, which is better than the rest of these. Even though these are all more bitter, they are also not very flavorful. The flavor in them just is lacking compared to the Pabst. So, Budweiser here. This is the Budweiser. Yes, the Budweiser. And Pabst. I don't know. You see, now that sweetness, it just, this one, yeah, I don't know, boy. I'm tempted to give it back to Budweiser, but then that would be unfair. And you would claim bias. And you'd probably be accurate. I probably am biased towards Budweiser, because this is a beer that I grew up with and I drank since my high school days, whereas I never really drank Pabst until I started doing beer reviews. But now we have Coors. I'm surprised Coors lost all three. What is that taste in there? Maybe a corn taste? Maybe, I would say corn syrup taste is what that kind of tastes like. Now, a lot of these American brewers, especially the big ones, use syrups, brewing syrups, which are maltose or fructose, that add sugar to help in the beer brewing process. Typically, the sugars get consumed in the process, so they're not necessarily left over. However, they just simply don't use, well, they do use malts and hops, but they use these other things such as syrups, maltose, and they use adjuncts like corn and rice for Budweiser, corn for the recipes. And I think, well, since maybe a Pabst is being brewed by Anheuser-Busch, it might be using rice. I saw rice listed as an ingredient at one source. But let's see. Yeah, this is St. Louis Pabst. And you can tell by the can. Pabst Brewing Company, St. Louis, Missouri, 4.7 ABV. So if it says on the cans, Pabst Brewing Company, St. Louis, then this is contract brewed by St. Louis, Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis. And I don't know if they changed the recipe for Pabst for the St. Louis version. I don't know if they include rice instead of corn. I've searched for Pabst ingredients lists, and I've found conflicting information. Some information said it uses corn, and some information that I found said it uses rice as an adjunct. And since they use rice for Budweiser at Anheuser-Busch, maybe they put rice in here at Anheuser-Busch. I don't know. I don't know if this is the same formula as traditional Pabst, or Pabst brewed by Molson Coors, or Pabst brewed by City Bloom, or wherever Pabst was brewed before. I don't know how different it is from this Pabst. I know one thing. Coors is only brewed in one place, Golden, Colorado. Well, I don't know that, but I've heard it. I've heard it by doing a search, and the information that I found says Coors is only brewed in Golden, Colorado. And actually, this taste here isn't too bad. I kind of like that. Miller High Life. These last two tastes, I preferred the Coors. But they've already went up against each other, and I preferred Miller. So these beers, they're getting warmer. They're going a little bit more flat. The flavor is changing. The mouthfeel is changing. So, but I have already gone through this, and I've done it blindfolded when I didn't know which beer was which. So I'm going to stick with what I did blindfolded, because now it could be biases coming into play here.